Wait, that sounds dangerous. You mean the ants can hurt us? The classroom filled with surprised gasps and nervous giggles. Zoc, the Zurn student who asked, was staring wide-eyed at the hologram of a regular Earth ant. It crawled across the screen, carrying a piece of food many times its size. His scales moved with worry, clearly showing his reptilian confusion. Professor DRA, the human expert from the Galactic Academy, coughed softly. His 4 eyes blinked one after another, a habit he picked up from observing humans closely. He was used to these kinds of reactions. Yes, ants, DRA said slowly, stressing the last word as if it were a big deal. In particular, a type called Solenopsis invicta, known as fire ants. They have venom that can cause a lot of pain, swelling, and in rare cases, allergic reactions that can lead to death. The laughter in the room stopped right away. The class went silent, with each student, representatives from different planets, looking nervously at the small holographic ant. The idea that something so small could be so dangerous was hard for them to believe. Zello clicked his mandibles together, clearly anxious. And they're everywhere on Earth? DRA nodded, his voice serious. There are colonies on every continent except Antarctica. They love warm places and often invade cities. One of the other students, a tall Horn named Jax, known for his tough armor, usually walked with confidence. But right now, he didn't seem so sure of himself. I don't understand, Professor. Even if this fire ant has venom, it's so small. How can it kill something bigger? DRA tapped his claws together, thinking. Humans have a saying, it's not the size of the dog in the fight, but the size of the fight in the dog. Ants, even though they are small, work together in ways that few other species can. One fire ant is dangerous, yes, but hundreds or thousands can swarm a target, quickly overwhelming it. Their venom isn't just painful, it can affect living beings very fast. Jax let out a low grunt, clearly thinking about this new information. So, if we face these creatures unprepared, even our strong armor might not save us? Correct, DRA replied, his voice low. Your armor won't help against something that can crawl inside, find a weak spot, or swarm you in large numbers. The students shifted in their seats, uneasy with the idea that something so small could get past their defenses. The galaxy had many scary creatures, huge beasts with claws as big as spaceships, top predators that could tear through metal. But ants? They were supposed to be harmless. One student, a Norway with skin that shone like hot metal, waved one of his many arms dismissively. I don't see why this matters. A planet full of dangerous pests doesn't make humans strong. If anything, it makes them weaker. DRA sighed quietly, as if he had heard the same argument many times before. You're mistaken. These creatures aren't why humans are dangerous, they have learned to live with them. More than that, they've turned what should be a weakness into a strength. While other species might run away or try to get rid of these creatures, humans adapt. They study them, and in some cases, they even use them as tools. That last part surprised the class. Use them? The hologram changed to show a human in a lab, calmly handling test tubes filled with ants. The human moved easily, without fear, even though just one of these creatures could kill. DRA continued, humans have a remarkable relationship with the creatures on their planet. They don't fear them like you do. They respect their power and, in turn, use that power. It's one reason Earth is called a death world. Another wave of uneasy murmurs spread through the room. Death worlds were places that most civilizations avoided because their environments or creatures were so dangerous that they were not suitable for living or even studying. Earth, despite seeming peaceful, had earned its place among the most dangerous. Zoc raised a shaking claw. But why do they stay on such a planet? DRA turned his many-eyed gaze toward him. Because they thrive there. Humans are not passive, they are not victims of their surroundings. They conquer them. They don't run from danger, they face it and overcome it. And that, my student, is why they are feared. Jax crossed his thick arms, shaking his head in disbelief. So, these humans can not only survive on a death world but also use the creatures there to their advantage? That seems reckless. Reckless? DRA raised an eyebrow. Maybe, but effective. Their cleverness is unmatched, and their resilience is something no other species can fully understand. You focus too much on their environment when you should focus on their ability to adapt. Another student, a reptilian Shishin, hissed in disbelief. But surely creatures like these ants are rare. Not every Earth species is this dangerous. DRA smiled a chilling smile that didn't reach his eyes. Oh, dear students, if only that were true. You've only scratched the surface of Earth's biosphere. There are far worse creatures, so small you can't see them, but deadly in ways that will make even the bravest of you shiver. A chill ran through the class. They all knew what he meant: microorganisms and viruses, the unseen killers of Earth. DRA's smile faded as he noticed the dawning horror on their faces. But we'll save that for another lesson. The room felt heavy with tension. No one wanted to admit it, but the idea of a world filled with tiny deadly creatures, some visible and some not, was very unsettling. Jax, still grappling with the concept, was the first to break the silence. So, humans not only survive these creatures but also live with them? They use them? How is that possible? Why haven't these things wiped them out? DRA's expression stayed the same, but a hint of amusement flickered in his eyes. Because humans are more dangerous than the creatures around them. The key to their survival isn't just strength, it's their intelligence. They understand the very forces that could destroy them and turn those forces into weapons or tools. Zoc shifted nervously in his seat. But how do they even figure out how to control something like an entire swarm of ants? DRA tapped the projector, and the display changed to show humans experimenting. The students watched as humans studied ant behavior, using pheromones to guide the swarm with a precision that was both scary and impressive. It wasn't just about understanding, it was about control. They exploit biology, DRA explained. Pheromones, chemical signals, and other ways of communication. They understand ants' instincts and use them to their advantage. Entire swarms can be redirected, made to act as the humans want. What you see as chaos, they see as opportunity. Jax's jaw tightened. This is crazy. You're saying they're turning mindless creatures into weapons? DRA's lips curled into a slight grin. Oh, not just weapons. Ants are only one example. Humans have studied nearly every species on their planet, learning how to manipulate them. For example, they use birds of prey to patrol the skies, train dogs for rescue, and even use dolphins for military tasks. The idea of controlling alien creatures was hard for the students to understand. The galaxy was full of sentient beings, each carving their own path with their own technology. Most species relied on machines to do their work. The idea that humans were taming creatures, not for friendship but for practical, sometimes deadly purposes, was almost unbelievable. But there's more, isn't there? Zoc asked quietly, fear creeping into his voice. DRA's grin faded into a serious expression. Yes, the microorganisms. The air in the room grew colder, even though the environmental controls hadn't changed. The aliens had heard rumors about these tiny dangers, but few truly understood the implications. Humans live on a planet full of tiny life, viruses, bacteria, fungi, things you can't see without special equipment. These microorganisms are behind many of the most frightening things on Earth. DRA pulled up another hologram, showing an invisible battle happening under human skin. Cells fighting invaders, tiny armies battling silently. These organisms can kill in ways that are unimaginable to you through infections, diseases. The human body is always at war with itself to stay alive. Yet somehow, they have built immunity to many of these dangers. Their immune systems are among the most advanced biological defenses in the galaxy. The Zion, who had been quiet, hissed in disbelief. You mean to say that humans carry these organisms with them? That their bodies host such things? DRA nodded seriously. Yes, too many of them, in fact. While some are harmless or even good, others can spread and cause chaos in an unsuspecting population. This is why human quarantines are taken very seriously. They may look healthy, but one wrong interaction with their biology could start an outbreak among alien species. The room erupted in soft whispers. Zoc's mandibles clicked as he processed this information. So they're walking contagions? Any contact with them could lead to a pandemic? Potentially, DRA replied. But don't mistake this for weakness. It's part of their strength. Humans are so adaptable that they have found ways to work around the dangers of their biology. They isolate sick individuals, create vaccines, and research ways to fight these microorganisms. Jax's face darkened. So, the danger lies not just in the ants and other creatures, but in humans themselves? Indeed, DRA said, his tone heavy. To really understand a human is to see that they are the true threat. It's not just their environment, it's how they engage with it. They can turn anything into a tool, even their own weaknesses. As the lesson went on, the students felt the weight of this knowledge settle in. Earth might seem like a small, chaotic place, but its creatures, big and small, were linked in ways they had never thought of before. And that connection made humanity more dangerous than any creature they had faced.